I think right now in this industry, in this world, in this, yeah, and just in the world in general, I think too many of us are going through life thinking there are no consequences for the things that we say or do to other people. And there's this whole idea that we're going to protect and give everybody safe space to say what they want to be or be authentic. But at the same time, if you're being your authentic self and you're afraid of criticism, then wait a minute, why just be authentic? And yeah, people are going to have something to say about it. So sorry, that's just the way life is. Hello and welcome to Pros Talking Prose. Today I am just a pro talking prose. But Troy is in the process of moving and getting a house ready for he and his partner to move into. It's just been chaotic over there. So I decided to give him the week off and give him the chance to kind of get that stuff all organized while I recorded this message to all of you. I'm going to go ahead and also disclaim that I am equally exhausted, and I'm going to try my best to kind of keep my attitude and my attitude positive. But there's some things I want to kind of talk to you guys about that I've noticed in the recent week. And I'm going to kind of just vent to the world, I guess, and out into the ether. If you guys want to comment below and let me know how you feel about these individual topics, I would really appreciate the feedback, because right now I just feel like I'm talking to the world in general. But there's a couple of things that are kind of weighing heavy on my mind. So today we're going to kind of do our own version of Am I the A-hole? I have a couple of people that I follow here on YouTube that I absolutely love and adore, and it feels like I get my petty out when I listen to them. But this particular version of the Am I the A-hole is going to be kind of geared toward writers, authors. And it's specifically because there's a couple of things that I am feeling, and I guess I want to know if you think I'm being the a-hole, because I have some very, very strong feelings about these things. So let's get started. First and foremost, I want to preface this with, I know that sometimes I come off a bit brash, for lack of a better term, and I am a bit on the petty side. So I apologize for those kinds of character flaws up front. That being said, maybe I can be a an alternate, I guess, personality for you if you ever feel like you want to vent this way and just gonna take it out on the world. I might be saying things that maybe you're thinking, or maybe I'm saying things that your best friend's thinking and doesn't say out loud. I kind of say things out loud. I have no filter from here to here, which makes me a great editor and an awesome coach, but it also kind of is a flaw. So I recognize and understand that. I want to apologize up front if I offend you. If you think you're going to be offended by some of the things I'm going to say, then you have my permission to exit left as soon as possible. But in the meantime, if you're just going to want to laugh or get mad, maybe you like to rage at just the internet, go ahead. You can rage at me. I don't care. So let me just start with a story that happened to me. So I am at Author Nation, and I am what you might call um not pretentious at all. When I don't know something or I don't know somebody, I am going to immediately speak up and say something about it. Or I might say something about it in a way that might come off a little bit, again, brash, maybe a little bit hard. But it's more or less because I see everybody equally. I don't see anybody as elevated to another person. However, I do have deep respect for people who have been in certain roles and fulfilled certain roles and done certain or had certain achievements throughout their life. I do have a deep respect for those people, but at the same time, I don't see them as somebody better or lesser than anybody else. I feel like I'm on equal ground with those people in a lot of ways in terms of just humanity. So when I approach somebody, whether they're well known in the industry or not, hi, I'm Stacey. What do you have to offer me? So that's kind of the way I approach things. And in a way, it has allowed me to have really great conversations with amazing humans. And I think in a lot of ways help them feel like they're treated um, like a human. They're not treated up or down or anything. So here we go. While I'm sitting on a couch having a conversation with some phenomenal authors, I we were kind of approached by a woman. I'm going to leave her completely out of this. You could probably figure out who she is based on maybe what I said, what I say. But I will say that the people in the company that we were in, some of them recognized her. They knew her and they said, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" And she's like, "Hello." And she asked kindly, she was like, "Can I join you?" And she sat down in her chair. Now everybody was kind of fangirling over this girl. Well, a few people were, but I had no clue who she was. Never met her before, didn't know who she was. And so because I am who I am, I'm like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Stacey. Tell me about yourself." And she just kind of looked at me like out of my I was out of the pool. I was a goldfish that had jumped out of the pool and I had jumped into the sea and now I'm talking to a lionfish. I mean, that's the kind of look I got from her. And I, of course, little goldfish that I am, I'm not intimidated by that. So I just said, "Can you just tell me who you are? I have no clue who you are." She's like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sorry." And she says, "Well, I'm so and so, and I own this little company that does such and such." Well, it was an AI company. And I have mixed feelings about AI. I've had conversations with Troy about AI in the past. And um, I just was interested in what she had to say about it. It was a company that I did know. I was familiar with it, at least a little bit. And I was curious about her level of reception in the author community because I know that there is a lot of hot people out there that have very strong feelings either for or against or whatever. So I was curious because I'd heard that there was some drama earlier in the day with regard to some AI topics that were brought up. So I was curious about what she was feeling there at the conference. Now, this is the Author Nation conference. This is the largest author conference, indie author conference in the country, right? So I'm sitting there and she's telling me about her company and she's telling me about how she hasn't felt um, significant rejection, which I kind of doubt because of her body language. Yes, I'm a studier of body language. I'm not an expert, but I do there she wasn't good at hiding that she was not telling me the complete truth there. She was uncomfortable with that. But she did mention that she was happy to announce that her company has been sold to a another larger publishing company. Yes, it's one of the big five. They're purchasing her AI company because she has her theories. And I, of course, was my my interest was piqued and I wanted to know what this purchase maybe entailed. And she told me the details. She wasn't shy about telling me how much she was being purchased for or what she believed the reasons were for the purchasing of this company. So I'm sitting there listening to this, and I can't help but think that the reason this company is buying her company is because they want to squash it, because that makes sense to me. She has a different theory, and one of her theories was that because she thinks that Amazon might be creating a book builder of some kind of an AI book builder, and she thinks that this company might be buying her company in order to increase or better or improve their slush pile. Well, being in the industry and knowing what I know about publishing and how many books are published a year and how many people submit manuscripts to publishing companies, I understand that there is no shortage of manuscripts in a slush pile. I have heard some editing managers, namely from a big Utah fiction company, mentioned that their slush pile kind of gets a little light on certain genres, and they might like bring in ringers for those, but oftentimes they're not hard up on collecting manuscripts for specific reasons because those manuscripts are plentiful. There are a lot of authors out there asking to be published. And if a publisher wants their pick of the litter, they pretty much can, especially this one. So I doubted her reason, but and again, I questioned her on whether or not she believed that she might be getting purchased to be squashed or to be taken out. And she again was a little bit like, I guess, less than kind with her response to me. I didn't, I wasn't swayed. It doesn't influence me at all. But I was a little bit, like I said, callous and a little bit brash with her. And of course, it was uncomfortable for her at a certain point. So I want to know, do you think I was maybe the a-hole for saying, I don't know who you are? And maybe that squashed her ego a little bit. And maybe that's why she came at me the way she did. Or do you think that maybe I was not the a-hole because I was treating her like I treat everybody and that um she kind of needed to be checked a little bit? So I want to know, what do you guys think? I don't think I was. I think I was kind of, like I said, I treat everybody fairly and I want to give them a fair shake in the world. And I wasn't like rude, but I could honestly see from her body language that she felt like a little uncomfortable that I was that I didn't know who she was. It wasn't like I was sitting there across from James Patterson. And just to be fair, I met with some amazing humans this last week, including the great and powerful Joanna Penn. She would hate that I said that probably, but I absolutely idolize that woman. I don't think I mentioned it to her, but one of the reasons that I have the knowledge base that I do is very much because of her. She inspired me going forward in this business, and I owe a lot of my success to her. She has no idea about that. I didn't even tell her that when I was talking to her, but it is true. So she did not even act as pretentious as this other woman did. So it was kind of interesting to me. But to each their own. So I want to know, was I the a-hole? I don't know. You guys tell me. All right. Next topic. I'm gonna probably hit on two or well, maybe three or four of these. The second one I want to hit on is one that kind of hit me a little bit hard yesterday. I was really, really upset about this one. And I'm going to call it, I think everybody in this issue are a-holes. So I'm just going to preface that with that. I think everybody in this scenario, save the author. I don't think she is at all. I think everybody else, they're treating this absolutely demonstrative. I hate all of this. I hate all of it very much. Okay. So here's the thing. I've been in this business for professionally about 10 years, a little more than 10 years. I've met amazing authors that are well known and have best-selling, like New York Times bestsellers, USA Today bestsellers, amazing humans that deserve all the praise. And then I've met authors that probably will sell 100 books in their life or less. And I've worked equally as hard for both types of authors. I don't believe either should be treated better or worse based on their status in this industry. Okay, that being said, fast forward to yesterday. I have not heard of this, but apparently this is a thing. And if you participate in this ahead of time and you hear yourself in this, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. There needs to be some checks and balances here. So authors put a lot of work and a lot of effort into their work. Those authors that do not use AI to write their books, I'm talking about authors who put the time, effort, money, and investment into their books and put them out there. That is a labor of love folks. I hate to tell you this. If you've never published a book on your own, if you're a reader who just likes to criticize authors and you have no stakes in this business at all, you've never put your own self out there, you don't know what you're talking about. And until you do, I want you to shush. Okay. You can comment on the writing, you can comment on the quality, but you cannot make a comment about this topic that I'm going to be hitting on, because you guys, like, honestly, you have to understand how this works. So writers, when they put their work and effort and everything out there in the world, they depend they depend on algorithms to help them be discovered. The algorithms are often swayed one way or another. Well, they're just kind of swayed one way by reviews. When reviews come in, reviews telling authors that they did great or that they sucked, it doesn't matter. Negative or positive, the reviews move an author in the algorithm up towards getting noticed. So you will notice that there are many, many books out there that are negatively reviewed and have terrible reviews. But if people are keeping the reviews going, those books continue to rank in sales and they continue to rank in the algorithm. It's completely, in my opinion, unfair, but it's just the way it works. So that being said, there are authors that care about the reviews they get because they either want to improve their work or they want to make sure that they're reaching their audience with the work that they've done. And so they will watch their comments and they will watch the reviews and they will see what they need to do to improve or, help the readers engage with them more. You have to understand that an author business is really determined upon the engagement of the readers that they have with the author. So the author is the brand. The author is the one that has the engagement with the readers to keep those fans happy. Okay. So we have to engage with people as authors with our reviewers so that we can understand whether or not we're hitting the mark or not. Well, yesterday I read some information, which was shared to me by my best friend, she's a voracious reader. Like, she reads more than I do, and I read professionally. Like, she reads so much. Anyway, she was telling me that Elise Myers, who just recently published a book, and it is hitting some awesome sales, and I think it's hit the New York Times bestseller list. Somebody had negatively reviewed her book, and she went in and she actually commented back. And this is why I made this comment, because I guess this is a no-no, but she went in there and she like thanked the person for their review, and she apologized that they didn't enjoy the book and offered to have them return the book to her if they didn't like it. And I'm sure, because it's Elise Myers we're talking about, if you guys know who she is, she's an amazing human. I don't know her personally, but, like, honestly, this girl has a huge reach. She was being very kind. I read her review, her response to the review, and it was very, very kind. But she has literally gotten so much hate since that moment that I was, like, dumbfounded. So of course I had to do a deep dive on this and find out that there is actually, like, a rule of thumb that authors are not allowed to comment on their own reviews, or they're not allowed to engage in reader spaces. Excuse me, baking powder? Like, that is so weird to me. So I may be the asshole here, a-hole, sorry. I may be the a-hole here because that is, so I may be the a-hole here because I feel like that this is all very, very rude behavior, and that she was just being kind and trying to make sure that this person, whatever their feelings were about her book, that they were satisfied in that process, because it is a transactional process, right? Readers are reading and buying the words that authors write. And as an author, I would want to make sure that people that did or did not like my book, at least I understood why, so that I could do better going forward. And I feel like that's probably what Elise Myers was doing here, but she, also she's exceptionally kind. Anyway, I've heard and seen a lot of the comments about how the reason that readers don't want authors in reader spaces is specifically because they want to feel safe to comment or critique these writers without feeling like they're being watched by the writers. So to me, that sounds like this. I don't want to be able to criticize or talk bad about anybody without feeling like I'm going to be checked on that. And frankly, guys, that sounds very, very egotistical and very, very narcissistic and very, very awful. So if you are afraid to say something and you're afraid that somebody's going to have a negative like viewpoint on what you've said, don't say it at all. I don't know if you guys are old enough, if anybody in here, I'm sure some of you, maybe two of you might be old enough to hear or remember if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. That applies here. Like, I mean, if you want to critique and criticize and review a book that was just garbage, go for it. But don't think for a second that that reviewer or that writer might not see that. They are going to see that, especially if it's something constructive enough that they can improve upon it. But, um, reviews aren't just there for you to bitch slap people and not expect to get like some kind of like fallback on that. I think right now in this industry, in this world, in this, yeah, and just in the world in general, I think too many of us are going through life thinking there are no consequences for the things that we say or do to other people. And there's this whole idea that we're going to protect and give everybody safe space to say what they want to be or be authentic. But at the same time, if you're being your authentic self and you're afraid of criticism, then wait a minute, why just be authentic? And yeah, people are going to have something to say about it. So sorry, that's just the way life is. It's always been that way. It will be that way until the end of time. All of us snicker at the girl who forgot to get the toilet paper out of her ass when she walked out of the bathroom. It's human nature. One of us, probably me, will be the one that taps her on the shoulder and say, honey, you've got some toilet paper stuck on the back of your butt. Like, there's just some of us are doing that. The rest of us are usually going and being jerks. It's just kind of the way it is. When I grew up, I was afraid there was this thing called shame. And yes, it can be toxic in a lot of ways. I'm not saying that this is not something that can't be toxic. It can be. But I will tell you that it kept me from being a little asshole growing up because I was afraid that I was going to bring shame to my family or to myself, or I was going to have some old man smack me on the back of the head in the grocery store if I acted like an idiot. And a really good example or story about this is that when I was in fifth grade, I had this amazing teacher. Shout out to Mrs. Hazel if she's even still around. I loved this woman. She did a phenomenal job being a fifth grade teacher. Like she just rocked it. And I was a fifth grader, and fifth graders are a little bit weird. So one particular day when I was feeling especially spicy and hyper, I was sitting out on the steps of our classroom and I was literally screaming at the top of my lungs. I wasn't screaming words, I was just screaming. I was just screaming and screaming and screaming. And it was, I don't know how long it was, but Mrs. Hazel came out of the classroom. She swung the door open and she said, Stacey, shut up. And then she slammed the door. And I remember that to this day. I am significantly older than my fifth grade self. And I very much recommend or remember this. It's a vivid memory. I remember the feeling of the steps. I remember her face. I remember the sound of the door slamming. I remember it all vividly. And there was shame that came over me because I was like, oh my gosh, I have been an idiot. Like, what am I doing? And so I stopped. And I never did it again. But the thing is that I think there are not enough people out there in the world right now that are telling people to shut up. Like, if people are being stupid or they're saying things that just don't make sense or they're being mean, They should just be told to shut up. Another case in point was um, there was a class that was being taught at Author Nation where the discussion came up about I think the teacher brought up or the presenter brought up using tarot cards to help break up some writer's block maybe and help you understand or attribute certain characteristics to characters if you kind of run into a stumbling block or you want to branch outside of your norm. And this is from what I'm wondering because I wasn't in the class. I'm hearing this secondhand, but I'm just relaying this. Anyway, um, there was a woman that was in the front of it was like 9:30 in the morning. She must not have had her coffee yet because she just started getting very, very upset and she was vocalizing her upsetness. And this class was full of people. Like, I mean, there was probably, I don't know, probably about 40, 50 people in that room. And she was vocalizing her displeasure with this presenter using tarot cards. And she said, and I quote, I don't appreciate you trivializing my religion. And this presenter was horrified because she had no intention, not any intention of trivializing anyone's religion. She was just showing an alternative to helping people find other ways, other than AI, actually, to find ways to help them with the writing. And this woman could not shut up. She just was being horribly demonstrative with her a presentation of her displeasure. And the woman that was sitting next to her said she was getting so upset and so uncomfortable with this woman just vocalizing her Karenness that she was about ready to say, get the hell out of here. And the woman stood up, the Karen stood up, walked out of the room. And as she was walking out of the room, she turned around and she was just berating this presenter. And finally, not the woman that was sitting next to her, but another woman stood up and said, get out. And I applauded whoever that is. I applaud whoever you are in the world. Good job for standing up for this woman because she had no intention of being offensive. She was just presenting another alternative to brain freeze. And this woman just could not see past it. It was almost like she was going in there and looking for a reason to be mad. And I think that happens a lot in this world. I think too many people go into the world and they look for reasons to be mad. And I'm going to tell you that you're the a-hole. If you're looking for a reason to be mad, or if you're looking for a reason to be upset about something, or if you're looking for something to antagonize or just troll over something, you're an a-hole. Cut it out. The writers community is so full of so many diverse people, and we're all trying to just express our ways in this very creative and free kind of way that and try to make some money off of it. Um, it's very I guess just disrespectful to attempt to do anything harmful in this community. There's no space for it, whether you're a writer or a reader. There's just no room for it. So if you're going to be one of these people that just goes and leaves reviews and because you feel like it's a safe space where I can be a little bitchy, make it a private forum and have a private bitch fest with some other people and just leave the public spaces alone. It is not out of line for an author to see their reviews. Now, that being said, I have talked to other authors who say that they literally just stay out of those reader spaces because they can't stand you people, which I think that's funny. But if you're going to give a writer some critiques that you feel like you would like them to say or see, be kind, but be firm with your critiques and let them know it's okay that you want them to see this. I have a lot of author friends that actually have other people read their reviews and give them the reviews that apply or that they would like to hear, that they feel like would either make them better or constructive in some way or whatever. But I honestly feel like to have to do that is quite literally like stupid because that's a product that that creator created and they're not even allowed to see what other people have to say about it. That doesn't make any sense to me. So, yeah, you're all a-holes. Okay. So that being said, moving on. I'm going to go on to Reddit here. There is a really interesting there's an interesting set of am I the a-holes, but um I'm going to read a couple of these or maybe just one just for sake of time. But if you guys want me to do more of these, let me know, like, subscribe, and comment below and tell me if you want me to do some like Reddit, am I the a-holes for writers? Because I think it would be kind of fun to do this just to see what you guys think and then also to see what other people think about these kinds of things. But I'm going to go ahead and go to this post here. Um, um, this one, it looks like it might have been deleted, but so it might be over or gone, but let me read this to you. It says, am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend he's not a writer? I, 18 male, been with my boyfriend, 18 male, for almost 2 years. He's an artistic person, whereas I'm more of a science person. When I met him, he was also more into science like me, but he had writing and painting as hobbies, but nothing serious. I'm assuming he means but nothing serious because that's a double negative. I'm not critiquing, honest. A couple of months ago, he submitted a short story that he wrote to some kind of writing contest, and he didn't win, but ended up in third place, which is actually well done. Good job. After that, the organizers of the contest invited him and other winners to some kind of dinner, and one of them told him that he had a talent for that and that he should participate next year again. I'm reading these verbatim, like I'm critiquing everything in my head, just so you know. So if you're editing me while I'm editing and them, yeah, like let's just turn that off for a second because I'll never get through these if I don't. He was excited, so he took writing more seriously since then and has been writing a novel almost every day. A few days ago, I went to his house and he was writing as usual. After being there for a whole day, I decided to go home because I was bored and he wasn't paying attention to me. Before I left, he asked me to read the last page and he had written, and it was pretty good. I told him that I thought it was good, and he started saying that he may not go to college in September because it will take him a lot of his time and he wants to dedicate that time to write. Then we started arguing. I told him that he already dedicates a lot of time to writing and he barely pays attention to me anymore, that he should go to college. He was going to study forestal engineering because being a writer is not a real career. And that he's not a real writer and that I don't think that he's good enough to write books and be able to make a living out of that. He told me to leave the house and he hasn't talked to me since then. After I left, I told a friend what happened and she told me that I was being an asshole for telling him those things. His sister called me a while after that and told me he's been crying since I left and he thinks that he's not good enough to be a writer and that he should stick with studying forestal engineering because that's a real career. I think that I'm an I think that I'm an a-hole for yelling and arguing with him, but I do think that what I said is true and I was just stating facts. So am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend that he's not a writer? So in my personal opinion, I believe you are approaching this in a way that, bless your heart, you probably thought you were coming from the right place. Um, I feel like a lot of people get into this business and they have these kind of lofty dreams. And a lot of times I'm kind of the bearer of bad news and kind of teach them how this business actually works. And it is not easy. And writing is not something that you get into to make money. In fact, I just published a book for a lady. It's been a 3-year labor of love. Um, she paid she paid me significant amount of money to help her with this book. The illustrations luckily were written by her co-author or done by her co-author, but the formatting of the book, it took a long time, and they've paid, I will say, probably in the thousands of dollars to have this book published. That being said, when we priced the book and she saw the profit margin from this book and what she would have to sell in order to make the money back that she's invested, it kind of probably sent her back in a tailspin because she realized that this book was not a way to get her rich. And I kind of chuckled and told her, I'm pretty sure I told you that 3 years ago or 4 years ago when we first met. It's just the way of the world. You don't get into this business to make money. However, it is a real job. It takes a lot of work to be a writer. I know plenty of full-time writers who do this as a full-time job. And I don't think that you should pass judgment on somebody who wants to aspire to be a writer. However, you went about this completely the wrong way. I do believe your friend should continue to go to school. Not because for anything more than just to have something to have as a side gig as they're writing, because that's kind of what people do is they're a full-time writer, but they have a side gig, which is their what people consider day jobs. So if that's going to be forestal engineering, okay. But to sit on somebody to sit across from somebody and tell them that their dream is not worthwhile, that is a really horrible thing to do to somebody. And I would hope that you would give this person that you're calling your boyfriend, which means you have some level of care for them, hopefully. I would hope that you would give them an apology and at least in some way or another find a way to support them. My best friend is a therapist, and one of the things that she said is she's kind of coined the phrase she says, and I told her I was going to put it on a shirt, but she said, your default should be support in any relationship. And I believe that that's true. I believe that you should have supported first and then maybe talked to your boyfriend about how you could have done this better. So let me see if I'm on par with everybody else. There's some comments here. Welcome to the am I the a-hole? Please. Oh, this is a judgment bot. Let's ignore that. You're the a-hole. He's a writer, even if you don't like it. What you said is absolutely disgusting, and you should be ashamed of yourself. You literally said that he wrote was really good. What he wrote was really good, and then immediately tore him down and told him he wasn't good enough because you felt like he didn't prioritize you over his passion. That's true. I mean, I almost wonder if you were kind of like thinking more selfishly than about his future and his abilities. Stating facts, it's not a defense to be an a-hole. In fact, usually it's an indicator of an a-hole. You need to apologize to him and have a discussion about your relationship, as this isn't about him being a writer. It's about you not being the center of his attention. And that could be very well true here. If you're lucky, he won't terminate the relationship on the spot. I kind of agree with that. I think, yeah. Oh, okay. He responded, the OP responded, stating facts is not a defense to being an a-hole, but I am telling it like it is. I'm not going to apologize for being honest, bro. I hate to tell you like this. He said, I hate people like this. Now, honestly, first of all, OP, you're the one that put yourself out there for advice and you asked, and you're going to be told what people think. So you can hate people like this, but you're the one that opened yourself up to it. Oh my gosh, people are crazy. So much this, OP. You're the a-hole. Another person said, you're the a-hole. Being a writer is a career. How would you feel if he said that to you about your career that you were passionate about? Anyway, and then somebody else responded. So does OP think that all people have to have published books and have made bank doesn't have a career in writing. Some books are so good, they make movies out of them, like OP Bitch You're and Jealous. I didn't know what that meant, but anyway, it's because I'm not cool. Um, anyway, he responded, OP responded, being a writer doesn't mean publishing novels. Interesting. But he specifically pointed out that he didn't think he was good enough to write books. That's where it's at, right? Like, you're the a-hole, dude. You should be supporting your boyfriend and his passion, not putting him down for it. If you feel neglected, then just have a calm conversation with him about it instead of blowing up like that. You're the a-hole. You're 18. What do you know about who is or isn't a writer and what constitutes a real career? You need to grow up and not lash out at something your boyfriend is passionate about because you want more attention. Very immature, a-hole move. Kind of agree. So anyway, it looks like everybody's response here is you're the a-hole. So you're the a-hole. Sorry. Okay. I'm gonna give one more. Um, Let me see if I can find one here that I like. Uh, hmm. Okay, I like this one. Am I the a-hole for wanting a writing room? My husband and I are in the process of building a house. There will be enough room for us to have a bonus space for a loft, which we plan to use as a mini library, reading area, and an office. He works from home most of the time and spends a lot of time in the office, choosing to work extra overtime as he enjoys what he does. In our current home, we share an office, but I increasingly don't enjoy being in there as it's noisy. He has a chronic nasal drip that can lead to him coughing, clearing his throat a lot, and he likes having the TV on. He's not a super social person, so he is home 99% of the time. We're going to have a basement in the new house, so part of the process includes figuring out where windows will be, as I plan to put up the walls and finish it later. I'm an aspiring author and have written stuff here and there, but only recently have I come up with something I want to turn into a novel. I figured that since we have the space, I could dedicate a room in the basement as my writing room. Nothing big or fancy, just a place I can go where it's quiet and I can really focus. Nice. I like it. We were discussing a basement design last night, and I referred to the room I was planning as my quiet room, quote, quote. He got kind of irritated, and I kept calling it mine and now not our. Hmm. I explained that I was hoping to have it as my room to decorate and set up for when I want to focus. I enjoy wildly different aesthetics than him. He likes all neutral colors, which I've agreed to for the rest of the house, but I would love to have some bold walls in this room. He got mad and I want to decorate it and not get his opinion since that's his space too. It sounds a little controlling, uh, don't you think? We had some back and forth where I tried to explain that I wanted a space I could decorate for myself since we don't often agree on colors. And he got mad and accused me of wanting to live separate lives. Really, dude? And have a marriage of convenience. Oh, for the love of Pete. He also got mad at me and said he should have a say because he's paying for everything, which is true to a degree, which made much more. He made much more than I did when we first started dating. He generously helped me go back to school, and I'm now in a much more lucrative career, but I do not earn anything near what he does or have nearly the amount of assets. So the house is going to be paid for with majority of his assets. I honestly don't know what to say to that, and I feel like I'm being made out to be a villain because I want space where I can recharge and be creative. So am I the a-hole for wanting a small space to myself? No. No, you're not. Marriage, you guys, seriously. Okay, again, my best friend is a marriage therapist. She's going to say this much better than I am. So, shout out to you, my bestie. But when you're in a partnership, You need to know that the partner that you choose to live your life with is not going to fill every single role in that partnership. Your my husband is not my he's my best friend, but he's not my girl best friend. Like there are things that I talk to and with with my bestie that I don't necessarily talk to, or I can. I mean, I could bring it up to my husband, but honestly, William would be like so bored, and it's like he doesn't even care. Like doesn't care about that stuff. So he doesn't want to talk to me about that stuff. I want to talk to my bestie about petty things that my husband just could give a rip about. But honestly, there are a lot of things that you and your spouse can do in support of each other and alongside each other that do not have to be together. I don't think it makes any sense that you would want to have a space of your own and that he would not be supportive of you on that. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. And it sounds like there are some core issues here that sound a lot deeper than just wanting a space for your own creativity. Like I honestly feel like there's something else going on here that's much deeper than this, and it's troubling. But let's see if I'm the only one that thinks this. Okay. Not the a-hole. Man caves are so popular because most people acknowledge the spouses rarely spend 100% of their time together. Your husband is definitely being a dick about it. Kind of reading between the lines, it seems like he's acting that way because he's worried you're pulling away from him, which is not an excuse. I'd just reassure him this isn't the case. It sounds like he spends a lot of time in his office. Maybe just start calling his this space your office. I kind of like that one. Another one, not the a-hole. You mentioned that you don't like sharing an office space with him because he's loud and monopolizes the communal space and with obnoxious personal activities. Yeah, by the way, how I don't know too many people who can write a novel with a TV on. Does he know you feel this way? If he's still thinking of a new office space as a shared space, then I could maybe barely see how it would hurt. He would be hurt that you want a personal space. But if he is aware that the new office will be his to use and decorate, then what the F kind of hypocrite did you marry? Is he often like this? Like I said, this kind of feels like a deeper issue. I'm gonna keep going here. Not the a-hole. I'm an artist and my husband is a songwriter. As you can imagine, this just breaks my heart. There's nothing wrong with a writer needing a quiet space in which to create. Furthermore, decorating in colors and patterns that are pleasing and even inspiring to you makes even more sense or is even more satisfying. If your husband is threatened by or jealous of this project, yeah, and I don't know if he would sit down and listen to you or if you try to tell him how much this is just um that this is just yourself and that it doesn't mean that you don't love him or your time together. Maybe a counselor could help. Yeah, I agree. Not the a-hole AOP. Virginia Woolf wrote A Room for One's Own in the 1920s, and it continues to be true today. Shout out to Virginia Woolf. Good job. Anyway, not the a-hole. You are married, so it's a shared asset. Maybe by location, perhaps. See that's the other thing. You guys share a space. Both of you have a role within that space. It feels so awful that he's claiming the whole house as his and you are just what a a part of that asset. Like I don't understand what he sees in this. Like it's kind of just it's disturbing in a lot of ways. So yeah, I'm totally with everybody here is saying not the a-hole. I don't think anyone has a contrary. Yeah, nobody's saying anything else. There is an update here, it looks like. Nope, nope, there is no update. No update, but it would be interesting to hear what, if anything, came about from this. I hope that she had a conversation with her husband and that they got it sorted out. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there were much deeper issues going on right now. So anyway, um, I hope that this was a fun podcast this week. I apologize for not having Troy to bounce off of in his lovely radio voice. But I hope it was at least fun for you guys this week. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend ahead. And we are super excited about some of the things happening in the industry. I will say that some things that I thought Amazon took away, which they did take away, are back in terms of like um uh in terms of like posting your book and getting your book noticed in the algorithm. There's some, I'm so excited about this, but I'm happy to report that things are always changing, and that's always a good thing, right? Like nothing stays the same. And while we don't seem to always like change, sometimes change is uncomfortable and it moves us into places that we don't want to be. Change is often good and for the better. So keep that in mind as you go forward and as things are constantly changing, and that it's not worth getting all uptight and worried about things that are going to be different in the near future. So keep going forward, keep pushing on, and remember that writing is a creative endeavor, and it is something that takes a lot of passion and persistence to pursue. And there are people out there. There is a tribe of people out there that will support you going forward. And so if you want to be a writer, man. Just do it. Just do it. Don't let anybody stop you. And yeah, don't be an asshole to other people who are trying to pursue those goals and those dreams. And let authors have a space too. I mean, engage with them. This is how they share their lives with you, and it is helpful to have communication with the people that read our stuff. So that being said, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Keep writing, and I will talk to you next week.